Hello, everyone. I'm Mitchell Ryan Darcy, and I'm about to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League for the first time. It is actually, I think, the day after they released it on Crave HBO streaming service in Canada. I don't know if it's the. I think Canada, you have to go through Crave in order to watch it, where US, I think it's just HBO. I'm not sure. I don't know. Uh, but anyways, I'm super excited to watch the movie because, well, I don't think we're ever gonna see a movie like this again. Like, this is almost legendary in the terms of seeing a director's the vision as the way he wanted it, where the studio totally, got rid of, reshot, changed, totally butchered the movie down to size in order to get it out for theatrical release. Like, there's very few cases in the universe where it's like that's happened. Like Heaven's Gate, for example, that was cut down heavily, and then it wasn't until sometime later they actually restored the version that was supposed to be the original version of the film. There's a lot of films in history where it's like we never get to see the final cut version, like the Magnificent Ambersons, Orson Welles ending apparently was, because I haven't seen the movie, but I heard that sort of ending was reshot and all that, and it sort of doesn't make the movie as good as what it could have been or whatever. But we won't really know because we won't actually. That footage has been lost. That was cut out and changed, and so there's a couple movies I'm still hoping to see a alternate edit of, like Strangelove or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, and seeing the original pie fight ending. I would love to see that. So I gotta celebrate, no matter what the film is, seeing a totally different alternate edit or extended version or alternate cut version of a film. So Justice League, as okay of a movie as it was, Josh Whedon's Justice League film, kind of, this is a big celebration. I mean, we're getting a 4-hour version of a movie that was theatrically only, I think it was less than 2 hours, if I remember correctly. It was actually quite short compared to all the other DCU movies, and then it's like now we're getting this 4-hour cut. Oh, it's like having a cake and eating it too. So I'm super excited to check out the film, and I'm about to watch it with my mom. Granted, she kind of dropped out of the DC universe after Batman v Superman because she did not like what happened in that movie. She's not exactly a fan of movies where character she likes, either dies or stuff like that. And for somebody who's not like a younger comic book fan, Batman v Superman does seem like a bit of a mess of a movie. Granted, I actually haven't seen, now that I think about it, on Blu-ray I picked up the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman. I still haven't watched the extended cut of that film. But I've seen on YouTube and other people talking about what exactly happens for the extended cut, and it does improve the final cut of the film, but it doesn't drastically change the overall film. It does make it slightly better. Justice League, so majority of this movie was reshot, if I remember correctly. Like, I haven't seen any trailers for this ultimate cut the Zack Snyder version of Justice League, and I'm super excited just to see just where the film goes in general, all the legendary stuff I heard about. Like, I think the only thing that was not completely shot, or, because here's the thing, I've said this somewhere before on this channel. I talked about how I just hope that if Zack Snyder does get his version of the film, that he doesn't change it too much from in response to what has happened over the last couple of years. And I wouldn't be surprised that, because they did shoot everything, I think everything, it was majority of it's green screen. They're basically, they finished up the green screen, so all the special effects were not finished for the Zack Snyder cut, and there was only one scene that they didn't actually film, and if I remember correctly, that had something to do with the Martian Manhunter, if I'm correct. I think that was spoiled in a much earlier article about how they even had the actor cast to play him, and then they had the storyboard, but they never actually got around to shooting that scene. It was the only scene from the Zack Snyder version cut of the film that wasn't actually filmed, and then the rest of it was special effects, CGI, landscapes, all that jazz, color correction. All that post-production stuff was the stuff that was definitely not finished at all. There was sections that they were working on, hence the trailers, obviously. Gotta show something to advertise the film and generate hype. How much has changed and how true is it to Zack Snyder's version? Like, I've been hearing reports that I think somehow the Joker from this Suicide Squad movie, the Jared Leto Joker, somehow makes an appearance in this movie. I kind of feel like that wasn't in the original script, but he's like, you know what, I have the extra money to put into this film to make it as best as what I wanted, so they could very easily just fit the Joker in. So, if I remember correctly, Batman v Superman, the theatrical cut is PG-13, 14, and then it's like the extended cut, the ultimate cut or whatever, is rated R, I believe, from what I've heard. So, Justice League, the Joss Whedon version, is, I think, PG-13, PG-14, and then it's like Zack Snyder's Justice League is rated R, from what I've heard, and it's like, I don't really think Warner Brothers would have went into the Justice League project to be rated R, because I firmly believe, because they want to do what Marvel do. Marvel does stuff well and get lots of money. I don't think Zack Snyder's original version would have been rated R, hypothetically. Like, the studio is kind of happy with the sense of, releasing a PG-13 cut, and then, if you want to do a bonus feature on a disc and make the R cut, go right ahead. It's kind of weird as that, and that's kind of the norm, or what it seems like. So, Justice League is like, I think there was one scene, specifically a battle, I think has a little more blood effects. That's all easy to add in post, and maybe, hopefully, Zack Snyder didn't go overboard with the power, because I think they invested another $80 million into making this bigger, or not bigger, $80 million into, doing all the CGI and post and all the special effects for the movie to bring the cut that Zack Snyder was working on to watchable ability. So it's going to be very interesting just to see just how well the film works. If I remember correctly, Justice League was split up into two parts. It was supposed to be part 1 and part 2, but then, when Joss Whedon stepped in, I think that's when it turned into only a one-off movie. I could be wrong about that, but so my question is, with what Zack Snyder has completed, is this just supposed to be part 1 that's 4 hours long, or is it kind of a little bit of what would have been part 2 of that Justice League that's kind of tacked onto the ending? That's what I'm wondering. That's my question. Because here's the thing. 4-hour cut seems kind of actually normal now that I think about it for a rough cut of a film. So, for example, Blade Runner 2049. I remember when the news articles hitting about how the first cut of the film was like 4 hours long. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that was another film which I think was like another 4 hour plus, I think it was more closer to 5 if I remember correctly, for the rough cut of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And so they brought down both those movies to around, I think it's above 2 hours obviously, I think it was 2:30, 2:40. My question is, this is sort of a more rougher edit of the film, or like how complete is the edit per se? Like, I know they fixed it up, but then why is it still almost 4 hours of a film? I haven't seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, but I'm wondering, is this more of almost a first cut of a film, in a sense, type feel when watching it? Is that the reason why Warner or HBO and Warner Brothers wanted originally this to be in episodes, like a mini series, because it feels, when watching it, a little more like a TV show than it does feel like a big blockbuster movie that's condensed to like a 2 or 3 hour type movie. So many questions, and I just can't wait to answer them. Most excited I've been for a film, hypothetically, in a long time, since, Tenet, basically. Zack Snyder's Justice League was, like, a year ago was a myth. Year or two ago was like, unheard of. You're never gonna see it, and that's like, we're now kind of seeing it. It won't be exactly how originally it was gonna be, but it's the closest we're gonna get, and I even without even seeing it or reviewing it, I just hope there's a Blu-ray release of it and a home media release of it, because I'll buy that. Zack Snyder is one of my favorite directors of all time. It's mainly due to Watchmen and the ultimate cut of that movie and Sucker Punch. And 300 was great overall. And I love Man of Steel. I do love Man of Steel. Man of Steel is currently my favorite DC movie of all time. So there you go. That probably says a lot about me, and you can probably already guess from that my review will probably be more positive of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I'm going to try to be as fair as possible, but there's a good chance that I'm probably going to enjoy this movie. Like, even if it's an absolute shit show, just having a alternate edit cut, and then you can watch those little YouTube things where they put it side to side and all that. I'm already seeing those pop up in my recommended feeds, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to watch it. I want to watch the actual thing. Then I'll watch those to death, because I probably will. It's going to be a film analyst for like the rest of his life. This is going to be a case study. Justice League is going to be the ultimate case study in what if a multi-million-dollar film gets two drastically different versions. One is the studio and one is what the director really kind of wanted, in a sense. So it's like, this is historic, and I'm just so excited. Time to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. So 4 hours later, I am now finished watching Zack Snyder's Justice League. And, overall, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna think this one's a bit better, because, some of the stuff that they kind of appeared in the movie kind of made a little more sense in this version, and you get to see more of what happened hypothetically. And for the most part, the changes that were changed, I can kind of see why for the theatrical version it was reshot to change. It's basically to make everything more streamlined, because Zack Snyder's Justice League kind of goes through the exact same thing. Like, there's nothing major different plot wise per se. Like, every main plot point that was sort of covered in the theatrical version is in this version. It's just in Zack Snyder's Justice League, you get more details, more backstory, more moments with characters that had less screen time. Like, you get a couple new things, a couple of surprises, It kind of made sitting through Zack Snyder's Justice League worth it. And a part of me thinks I just kind of wish Warner Brothers just in general stuck to this version for release. And even if they split it up into two parts, that's my only thing, is that if they split this into two parts, where's this tipping point? Like, was it meant to be between part 4 and part 5? Is that where it was supposed to be? Justice League 1 movie ends in the cliffhanger of, we need to bring back Superman. That's when the part 2 movie would happen? Or is this was all meant to be part 1? Because if all of this was meant to be part 1, I don't think you would be able to fit the amount of detail that Zack Snyder was going for into a theatrical version. I think in a part of ways he was kind of hoping the same thing would happen with Batman v Superman. They didn't know the outcome of Batman v Superman until Batman v Superman finally came out, but by then they were already, I think 90% done shooting Justice League, well, at least the first part, before they announced, it's actually just going to be one movie instead of two parts. But I can't remember if that was before or after Zack Snyder left the production all the sort of added backstory and all that, I felt was good. It was nice. It's very nice to see it. I was a big fan of Man of Steel. I loved Man of Steel. Batman v Superman, and from there on out, I kind of felt like they were rushing. They were trying to catch up to what Marvel was doing. The one thing I really liked about the theatrical cut for Justice League was the opening, the montage. And it's kind of interesting that, yeah, so that's gone in this version. So it's like, I still have a reason if I want to watch the theatrical version. Like, but the main reason, story-wise, since Zack Snyder's Justice League actually just sort of does everything, and then the theatrical version just kind of just sums up the major points. Granted, there is some changes. There's a little more humor and stuff like that. All those Josh Whedon type jokes. For example, if you ever want to watch Justice League, but you're like, oh, I only have about 2 hours to watch the entire thing. I can't start Zack Snyder's version, so you just watch the Josh Whedon version, and it's like you kind of get a little bit of a filling overall Cliff Note arc version of Justice League. And then it's like, if you have the time and you're like, hey, you know what, I want to watch Zack Snyder's version, you get a little bit more. It's just weird. I found streaming service wise, I know Zack Snyder wanted the 4x3, and that's probably related to the IMAX footage or something like that, or I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know the story behind it specifically. Maybe Zack Snyder's, that's the way he wanted. That's the version we get, but it's just watching the streaming service through laptop to my TV, and my TV is really decent, big size, I feel. Very fortunate to have one TV that's pretty big, and so even watching it like that with surround sound speakers, the movie itself actually felt very small. It's weird. It was weird how sort of, not anticlimactic, but it's like, felt small. Like, maybe the hype was a little too much for the Snyder Cut, but overall, it just felt like a very small. It did feel like I was watching maybe a mini series of TV, or even a couple episodes of a long running series or something like that. That's what it kind of felt like scale wise, like even with the special effects and all that. Granted, if they didn't use any footage or special effects from the theatrical version of Justice League, they kind of did a good job for the extra $80 million just to do all the special effects for this entire 4-hour movie. Granted, it did look a little video gamey, well, a lot video gamey in several sections, and some of the sections it felt like there's one or a couple moments where I'm like, yeah, that didn't look as finished or as rendered nicely as it should have been, but given the, I assume, time constraints and budget or whatever to get it out, I think consistently, as long as the special effects stay consistent, it's good enough that you can just sort of get in with the story, and the special effects were good enough at a base level. Though I kind of wish some of the scenes, I was like, I kind of would rather have seen it as worked on as, say, Man of Steel. And I totally forgot that not only is this way version Zack Snyder wanted, but this is also, they have I assume, the original soundtrack to what Junkie XL did for Justice League. They brought that back, and I forget whoever did the music for the newer Justice League, or not newer. I keep thinking the theatrical version is newer, and it's like, this is the older, and it's like, it's not how it works. But the theatrical version had somebody else doing music, but then the newer version, the Zack Snyder version, has Junkie XL's score back, and it's kind of stands out a bit. Yeah, it was cool hearing what was envisioned as the original score. So it's going to be very interesting to see if maybe I wonder if they'll release the score, because there's definitely one or two tracks where I'm like, yeah, I definitely kind of want to listen to that again. Specifically what felt like, I think there was one part where they remixed, it sounded like a Junkie XL remix of Man of Steel. So I kind of want to hear that again. I'll be very sad if it turns out it's just there for the movie edit and they never release it on CD or anything like that. I wouldn't mind watching it again, but it just, I don't know. I felt that, yes, because I knew going into it, if it was like a more rough cut type thing, that a majority of footage would be like, it would feel definitely a lot slower editing wise or something like that. Like the pace wouldn't seem as quickly. It definitely feels very slow, especially in the start. It took maybe about like 2 hours to actually finally sort of get into the swing of just how the thing was going together, and then it's like by the end of it, it's like, I don't want it to end. Especially with Batman v Superman, sort of teasing of like a apocalypse type world. Let's just say they continue that trend with this version with Zack Snyder's version of Justice League, and now it's like, damn it, Warner Brothers, I kind of wanted to see what Zack Snyder's direction was going to go with this. I want to see where it goes, and it's like, there's a very good chance we're never going to get that. The studio's just probably going to keep correcting things as they go along, making stuff up as they go, and then, as long as people are paying to go see the movies, they'll continue to do that, It's one of those type of situations. So I'm not saying the internet should petition, continue the Snyder cut, but I just feel that it's kind of sad. Now I have, theatrical version Justice League, and then super long Zack Snyder Justice League, and it's like, where is DC Universe going to go from here? I thought the Wonder Woman sequel was bad. It just, when DC Universe started getting, doing a first movie right, Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, and then Joker and Aquaman, and even Shazam, it's like, you guys are getting the first movie right. What about the sequel? And then this is where they're stumbling, is what to do sequel wise. Hopefully they learn to do good sequels. Like, I'm kind of excited for Aquaman 2 if they ever go into production with that. But the only DC Universe film where I'm actually generally excited to watch is the Flash solo movie, and I don't even know if they're actually even going through with that anymore or whatnot. It's like, what are they going to do? Are they going to reference the Zack Snyder cut as like an alternate universe type thing? And the funny thing is, Zack Snyder's version of Justice League really, I feel, sets up character development for both the Flash and Cyborg in such a way that it's like, you kind of needed this in order to actually go forwards, and maybe even have them in other movies, or doing their own solo movies themselves. So it's like, I feel like Zack Snyder's Justice League had almost like a reason to be released, because I think Warner Bros. Was like, well, shit, how can we do the Flash solo movie that may include like paradox and different timelines and all that, when Zack Snyder's version of Justice League actually still had all that set up, and we got rid of that for the theatrical version of Justice League. Like, I think in some ways, the not only from fan outcry and all that, but I honestly think Warner Brothers was looking back at that whole situation, and they were like, we need to somehow rectify this in such a way that we still have the theatrical version of Justice League being the main of it, but for the fans, have them have access to the longer version of the movie in a sense. So, in that sense, it kind of works out, because now that this has been released, and I assume this is going to be a success, Warner Bros. Is going to just, they can work on things now and just sort of go with it, because we now kind of see this thing, but it's like, they're not going to directly reference it, I feel like it's all going to be, maybe alluded to in a sense. Zack Snyder is probably definitely not returning to do anything DCU wise, unless somehow Warner Brothers definitely makes it up to him in a sense. It's not my place to say because I just don't know. I was actually thinking during the movie, I'm like, wow, if this, maybe this is the direction DC should have went, not, I'm saying movie-wise, but I meant in the terms of streaming. Like, think about it. If after Batman v Superman, let's say hypothetically, HBO started, because I don't know when they started the streaming service, but let's say hypothetically they started then to do the, like, let's say it was around back then, hypothetically, they could have took their time with Justice League and actually made it a streaming movie, and they could have done it, the release that way, and then they would have actually, in a sense, beat Disney and Marvel to the streaming service thing, in a sense, except for, you know, I think Netflix, Daredevil kind of beat them to it, but I can't remember when exactly that came out. But HBO would have got their major group movie on a streaming service way in advance of Marvel having an Avengers movie come out, or if the pandemic kind of postdates movies even longer, maybe Disney will cave in and will be like, okay, the next one, Black Widow, we'll shove it out there onto the streaming service, you know? We don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm just thinking, it's like, that would have been kind of cool if maybe they took that route early on. They could have maybe it would have paid off even better. And we wouldn't have this, oh, here's the theatrical version of Justice League, here's the Zack Snyder's version, and it's like we wouldn't have that situation because, you know, they could have just released the full 4-hour version for people to want to watch it, you know? I definitely feel like Zack Snyder's Justice League and the theatrical version of Justice League is going to be something film people will analyze for years to come until another movie gets a really drastically changed cut version of the film. Looking at you, Suicide Squad. But I want to know what you think of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. I want you to have a nice day or night or whatever time you watch this. Have a nice whenever. Check out my other stuff. It's entirely up to you.